Hey guys, so welcome to another video. And on this video, we're going to be talking about custom breadcrumbs. So before we get into all the examples and setups, let's first talk about what breadcrumbs are in the first place. So breadcrumbs are mainly to help users navigate your website better. And if you look at the right-hand side, there's a simple breadcrumb setup on that image. And basically all these will be clickable links, which should help your users kind of see the hierarchy of your topics. And they can just easily navigate your site if they want to click through the categories and see relevant pages that you have on your site, or go back to the homepage or whatever, pretty much. And also, breadcrumbs are meant to help Google understand your website or your topics and pages, right? So we've actually seen positive impact in rankings when you have a proper breadcrumb setup. So definitely don't ignore it. All right, so moving on to a proper example of a breadcrumbs setup. So here's actually what we use for our websites. And take note that our websites are pretty broad. So we cover a lot of different categories. That's why we have a main category and we have a subcategory. But if you are covering a smaller site or a niche site, a subcategory might not be necessary for you. But all these things are obviously up to you. What makes sense to your website or what makes sense to your niche. And all these niches are pretty much different, to be honest. So you will have to make that judgment yourself. But for us, this is what we use. And to give you a quick example, for example, if you are in the supplements niche or in the health niche, your homepage, that's pretty self-explanatory. The main category could be something along the lines of supplements. Your subcategory might be protein powders. And then the post itself would be like best vegan protein powders, right? Or a review of a specific protein powder. So that's how we set up our breadcrumbs. So Google can easily understand the hierarchy of our topics, right? So another one would be that the homepage should have a link going back to the homepage. Same thing with the main category page. It should link to the main category. And then also the subcategory has the same setup. But when it comes to the post itself, you don't need to have a link back from the post in the breadcrumbs going back to the post URL itself, because you're already on that post. So there's no need to add a link on there. Other things that you need to note would be how important categories are when it comes to breadcrumbs. So your categories are meant to house all the relevant pages on your website within that category, right? So if you had a category about protein powders, it should have all the pages that are about protein powders on your website, right? So Google can see that. So you can see that when they visit the page about protein powders or the category about protein powders, it has all the protein powder pages on your website, and it can kind of put two and two together to see that all these pages are pretty much relevant. And also your category pages must be indexed. So it needs to be indexed for Google to discover the page, right? And that's the reason why we index them. But we definitely do not index the pagination pages, because pagination pages do not add additional value to indexing the main category page itself, right? They're just repeated content. So they're just low quality content, so we just don't bother indexing them. And we just have our developer just custom code it and then remove them from indexing, right? And also breadcrumbs must be clickable do follow links. There's no need to worry about no following them or worrying about passing link juice through the breadcrumbs. You want Google to crawl your breadcrumbs. You want Google to understand what your website's hierarchy is about. So you want them to be clickable do follow links. So it's just easy for them to crawl it, right? Because no follow now is a hint. Google can choose to crawl it or not crawl it. So why bother? So just make it do follow. They're internal links anyway. Other things that you want to take note of is that breadcrumbs must be detected and must pass in Google Search Console. There's a feature on GSC on the left-hand side. You'll see breadcrumbs, which should be fairly easy to discover. But once you have your breadcrumbs set up on your site, GSC will automatically detect it once it caches your pages. And you can easily see if your breadcrumbs are passing its standards or not. And if it doesn't pass, you can easily make those changes so you can properly have breadcrumbs on your site. And then the last thing that we need to talk about is that breadcrumbs must be indicated and also detected by your schema markup on the page, right? For us, it's within our web page schema, and we custom code it as well. But if you are using a schema plugin, your schema plugin should automatically detect the breadcrumbs. But if it isn't, you probably should contact your plugin or have a dev check it out. But pretty much that's it. And if you are looking for recommendations for breadcrumbs, breadcrumb plugins, we will have it in the video description down below. So just check that out. And yeah, that's it for this video. All right, guys. So I'm going to create a quick demo for you guys to install this breadcrumb plugin. So right now I'm logged into Skin Starts with C. You just need to go to Add New to search for this plugin. You can actually find the plugin that I'm talking about or that I'm going to demo right now in the resource section. So just check it out over there. So you can see here breadcrumbs nav XD is probably the easiest breadcrumb plugin to use right now. If you don't have a dev, obviously this one's probably the better option for you. But if you have a dev, custom coding it would be a lot better because you can customize everything. But this one pretty much does the same job and it's a little bit easier to use. So right now I'm installing the plugin. And then if I load up some of these pages, you can see that the breadcrumbs are actually working properly now. So you can see it goes home, blog, which is a category, and then the actual post title. So it's pretty much that. It's that simple. You just need to install the plugin. There's really not much you need to edit on the plugin itself, and it should work perfectly fine.